And so that means one thing. Since it is, in fact, well, it's almost 10:30 Eastern. It's almost 10:30 Eastern. So we always do the proper introduction for our next guest. And because it is that time, here it is.
Hey, Glenn Davis here in Houston, Texas. A big fan of soccer down here. And remember, soccer matters.
Because it does. And he got his notes. He's ready to go. All right, let me bring him in here. It's always fun to catch up with our friend Glenn Davis. You got your notes there, bud?
I got some good facts here that I'd like to bring up. But anyway.
The Houston Hurricane pennant. That's clutch. I love that.
Yeah, somebody gave that to me. That's Houston Hurricanes played in the Astrodome. That would have been in the 70s. Before that, in the 60s, we had the Houston Stars. And I think we've talked about this already, so I don't want to repeat myself.
Oh, it's all good. No, look, you're talking to a guy who has a California Surf T-shirt, Glenn.
I had friends who played on that team.
I mean, that was the California Surf was the first game I ever saw when they played. It was the Surf, and they played the Dips in Anaheim when Anaheim was closed. And when it was a closed stadium, it didn't have the rocks and everything. And so Bill Irwin was in net for the Dips. The Surf were playing in Anaheim, and I dragged my dad to the game because it was just up the road. And that was one of the first games I ever saw. It's like the first game I saw here was the Chiefs and the Dips. First game I saw out on the West Coast was the Surf and the Dips. So
Bill Irwin, by the way, was a teammate for 1 year of mine here in Houston in the 80s. And I mean, obviously, Bill went on to an exceptional coaching career, worked with Clive Charles, Portland, youth national teams on the women's side. We called him the gentle giant, the quiet man, like John Wayne, because he was a big, tall guy, but just a wonderful guy.
Yeah, and so that was going into the Wayback Machine for me. I wanted to bring you in, because it's been too damn long since you've been here. And you got to do some field tripping. Please tell me that when you were doing the stuff for the World Cup, you got the miles and points that were associated with said travel when you got to.
Well, if there's miles and points awarded for driving 3 miles to a stadium from the house and the bed that you're sleeping in, I guess I got a lot of them.
Mileage, bud, mileage.
Yeah, I did the 7 games here in Houston. I did one trip to do the quarterfinals. Actually, I did the Belgium-Spain game, so I got to do the World Champions in one game in the quarters, and actually, that was the only game they conceded a goal to Belgium. It's been an unbelievable experience. It's an 8th World Cup for me. I did color on this. I was an analyst on this. That's how I broke in originally. People probably know me more doing play-by-play, but it's just exceptional. The way the events were run, I know it was the same thing in Atlanta. It just looked spectacular.
I do have a Houston question coming up in a bit, but since you mentioned Spain, we've been talking a lot about Spain. We talked about Spain last night on Atlanta Soccer Tonight. I talked about them this morning and just how dominant they were defensively. And the numbers are insane considering that you saw the De Ketelaere goal. You saw a piece of history. You saw a piece of history in this World Cup. The only goal that they gave up in the knockouts was to De Ketelaere. And how dominant a performance was this by Spain on both sides of the ball to win a title?
Oh, boy, I think we could go on and on. I think what's amazing to me is obviously it's a possession team. I'm sure all your guests have told that. They're the best team in the world in possession. They have a pressing and a repressing game, which keeps the game high up the field. The old adage is, you have the ball, the opponent can't score. I think that certainly is worthy with Spain. But I think we go a little deeper, and we have to begin to speak a little bit about the word positional. Every guy on that team has options always. Everybody who's ever played the sport of soccer have been in a game where they got a ball and they got put under pressure and they picked their head up and there was nobody there making an angle for them and supporting them. And you're yelling, "Hey guys, come on, support me. Yeah, somebody come to the ball," or you get mad at your teammate. I mean, I remember it playing in what were the pro leagues in the 80s, being upset at a midfielder who didn't show and didn't come to me and left me in a little bit of trouble because I was not adept at dribbling and getting out of pressure like every Spanish player was. But the options they constantly have, the confidence they have on the ball, razor sharp technique, it's a belief. It's ingrained in young kids in Spain, in a small country, from birthright. And this commonality of the way the game is approached culturally and played, it plays out. And I would just say this. We have 3 other traditional sports, and we got everybody doing their own thing in a lot of ways in this country. And that's what makes it difficult for us to create a culture and define a style of play, maybe with the U.S. national team.
And before you came on, we were having the discussion about Mauricio Pochettino and the decision that he has. Apparently, it's going to be made this week, and we can put a bookmark in that and have that as a part of it. It's like we're adding topics here as we're going this morning. Shutting down Argentina the way that they did. I know that a lot of folks are sitting there and they're saying it was because, Argentina was playing, negative or whatever terminology you want to use. It was, I would posit it's because Spain was so dominant defensively in counter-pressing and making sure that life was hell. It was almost like Nolan Richardson was coaching Spain. It was 90 minutes of hell for Argentina and for anybody that was playing against them in this tournament, where they weren't letting anyone breathe. It was impossible to get things moving to where you were in a positive position going up against Spain. I thought it was tremendous work by Luis de la Fuente.
Yeah, look, they just did 2 games in a row where, like a giant python, wrapped themselves around an opponent, squeezed them into submission, had them tap out, and to think Argentina would not have a singular shot, not only in the first 90 minutes, but a couple of minutes into the extra, time, added time, is pretty unbelievable. I'm very disappointed in Argentina's approach because I'm all for, the balls of Argentina. We play with balls, all that, I love that about Argentina. I love their passion for the flag. They took it too far in this game. It's very sad to me because it was Messi's probably his last World Cup game. I never say anything about him, but it was sad to see him go out and have such little influence. Flip side of that is, though, to have watched Spain just choke out the life of some of the top strikers in the world. And basically that's by denying them the ball because of all the things we just mentioned. It was really remarkable. Now, people can say, it's a lousy final and all that. No, it's not. Not if you're Spain. And, I don't like the way Spain plays. It's boring. Oh, yeah. You know what's more boring? A team that just wants to commit fouls and sit back and defend deep. And I do think part of what occurred is, obviously, you have to compliment Spain and their pressing and repressing game. And that's a tactic they took off the 2010 team.
What else? You since you brought your research with you, what else are the greatest?
Well, most of this is just who won awards.
Yeah,
which that's all I have.
Well, but and if you think about it, Kubarsi is 19.
Mm-hmm. Love him.
And to be a center back that is as in control as he is at 19, he's going to be there for a while.
So part of what happened with Kubarsi was when Barcelona, and by the way, this team was made up of a lot of Barcelona players, and there's a lot of upset people because no Real Madrid players were on the original roster. Mm-hmm. But Kubarsi got accelerated at Barcelona because of the financial problems.
Yeah.
So he started getting lots and lots of games. I look at that kid and I go, well, first I think about myself at 19 and I'm like, oh, I wasn't quite that mature. But the other thing is I just love watching him play. I played as a center back the majority of the time I played soccer. Just to see his calm and his composure, all the other responsibilities you have. And that's a big mental game. And listen, they're all a part of the build. And the center backs have to be alive all the time. But it is a mental game also to be positionally sound, to protect space and all kinds of things potentially in transition. So I was so glad to see him win that award. I was so glad to see Rodri win the award because to me, you picked two of the big focal points of this team and that were non-negotiables. That these two guys had to play extremely well and did.
And you got to see Rodri at 100%. You know what he means to what a 100% Rodri meant to Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. You got to see when he wasn't healthy what he meant to Manchester City and the gaps that were there for them as they were continuing to chase titles. And 100% Rodri on the international stage, to add to what we were talking about with Kubarsi, that to me, you sit there, it's like, yep, that's why. That is, if you were to sit there and put it in under glass and sell it for like $40 on eBay, that would be what you're staring at when it comes to Rodri. That's why he's there.
When I watch Spain, it's funny because I'm trying to watch everything, but I notice my eyes get drawn to just watching him.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened to me yesterday in the World Cup final. I'm watching him. I'm watching his movement. You know, we all say, well, you just man mark him. I hear ex-players, oh, just man mark him. Yeah, and then I say, yeah. And everybody's probably thought of that, and it seems to never happen. Same thing with Messi. Well, you just got to man mark him. And it's like every game he gets tons of the ball, and every game he hurts people, except yesterday. And he's just amazing to watch. He's a constant outlet. His choices with the ball, his switching the point of attack, his engagement, his breaking plays up. I mean, this is an all-action midfielder. He's got everything, but he plays like so effortlessly. It's like I don't remember him sprinting yesterday. I mean, it's just weird. It's just amazing how comfortable and easy it is for him. And I think that also has to do with the systems he's plugged into because he's the focal point. You might think it's Jamal, but it's him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to have a center of the spoke. You got to have the spoke in the center of the wheel somewhere, and to have that to make sure that everyone functions. That's Rodri when it comes to Spain. You mentioned Messi, and to think about this tournament on the whole, I'm not going to put anything past him, but I'll put him in this mix. The last tournament for Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, James, Modric. Who else am I missing here?
De Bruyne.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne. All of these heavyweights that came through one final time, we're not going to have them anymore on the international stage. It was crazy to think about all of these guys that have meant so much to the game over the last, well, really 2 decades. And we got to see them one final time, and they're all going at the same time internationally. It was crazy to me when you had that list.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some we're probably missing here. I mean, I don't know if you put Lukaku in that same room, but he's going to be done. But there are a lot of other players that you're thinking about. I mean, I guess Neymar, but I didn't really consider Neymar a part of this World Cup, honestly. And I don't put him in the same room as Messi and Ronaldo and those. Extremely talented, don't get me wrong, but I think he doesn't rank where those guys rank, in my humble opinion. But yeah, it is sad, and I think it's a reminder of we really were able to watch, this sport in some of the great golden ages. No question, watching these guys operate, and Modric, by the way, still effective at his age as well.
How was Houston as a market for the World Cup? We saw it blowing up, but I know that since you were there, full bore. Germany, Curacao, Portugal, DR Congo, Netherlands, Sweden, Portugal, Uzbekistan, Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Japan, round of 32, Canada, Morocco, round of 16. How did Houston respond to having the World Cup?
Well, if we're talking about in the stadium, I got to witness it, so it's firsthand comments coming back here because, I was in a commentary position every game. We had to be there very early. So you could watch everybody getting organized, from everybody working, the volunteers, to media trying to get positioned where they need to be for the game, and buses coming in, players walking in, all the things that are happening underneath the stadium. It's, as anybody knows, the execution of these games is a difficult thing. And I tell you what, it was absolutely flawless here. And then you see the stadium begin to get bigger and bigger, and the screens, just like in Atlanta, you see the team bus and guys getting off at the hotel. The whole presentation was great, up to the anthems with the giant flags. It was just fantastic. And from that standpoint, 10 out of 10. Absolute 10 out of 10.
And then how did the city in itself respond to it? Because I know that you were busy doing a lot of stuff, showcasing the city off to the rest of us who have never been there or never got to see it. How was the city outside of the venue when it came to presentation, welcoming aspect, all that kind of stuff?
I think we were very similar in this category of showing people a great time, being really open and having fun with all the visitors that came from around the world. I mean, I think we see all the content where people are just saying we had an amazing time. Americans are great people. The hospitality was fantastic. All these things were a home run in Houston. from what I understand,
Mhm.
it's all good stuff. At the games, I saw people unified, getting together, and really setting just a wonderful bar of excitement and connection to the game. It's such a great opener, right? And I think a lot of times the world gets fed a lot of, most of the time, bad stuff about us. So it was very prideful from my personal perspective to see everybody here just having a great time, and they're trying hamburgers and things that, it's just like us. If we went to a foreign country, we'd be trying food and going, holy, this is amazing food. But everybody be looking at, man, look at these crazy Americans. They love this food, and it's like stuff we eat every day. So anyway, a lot of that was really fun. I think from a business perspective, the businesses that got out ahead of this and invested in soccer and the World Cup ahead of time are the ones that thrived. I think the ones that came in at the last minute did not thrive.
Yeah.
In certain parts of our downtown, they did not thrive. The moral of the story is you can't hang a banner outside your establishment when you've got established sort of soccer bars and pubs and places. I would say, though, the future for businesses in Houston and then around the country, with the amount of money being spent by people that love this game, get in the game.
Exactly. Our friend Glenn Davis hanging out with us here. Soccer matters, because we always know that soccer matters, and we always want to catch up with our friend Glenn out in Houston. We gave him an extra hour to sleep in this morning. Traditionally, he's our 9:30 guest. Gave him to 10:30 this morning.
Wish I could sleep in.
That's all. Hey, yeah, you and me both, brother.
I
I can't. I've been on like 4 hours of sleep a night for this entire tournament, and I haven't turned those hours since college.
Yeah.
And I am a hurting man.
You don't come across to me, John, as a sleep-in type of guy.
Oh, I'm an 8-hour dude. I am an 8
I
hour.
have you too, though, where I'm grumpy.
I am not a morning person. I don't kick in till about 2 in the afternoon. So you have someone who's not a morning person hosting a morning show. How does that? That's like my BS coefficient.
You do just fine.
My BS coefficient is very, very low since I'm 708 years old. You got to see a lot of teams coming through there in Houston. When it came to all of those teams, who was someone that was a pleasant surprise? Was there a team that was a pleasant surprise to you that walked in the door that you might have known about in research, but then when you finally got to see him, first and foremost, you're like, hey, wow, this is really cool. What were some of the cool factors for you?
And that's the beauty of being a commentator, because you have to take a deeper dive on these teams. I think a lot of people saw Morocco play, didn't understand that 23 out of 26 on the roster were born in Belgium, France, and they're dual nationals. I think a lot of people forget Argentine players are all born in Argentina. These things make a difference in culture and in winning and losing games sometimes. You can make an argument for that. But I would say, we had so many we had Portugal here, we had Germany here, we had the Netherlands here with the march. But from an on-field perspective, I love the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
The Congo went down to Portugal. It was a big hype game. Every single person in the stadium had a Cristiano Ronaldo shirt on. And by the way, I quizzed some of these people. Most of them were not from Portugal. Yeah, I saw this lady who had this giant Portuguese hat. And the stuff that she did to put her costume together for this game, it was like a Broadway designer backstage, right? So I was on the aisle, and I just said to her, I said, wow, that's an amazing costume you have. What part of Portugal are you from? And she looks at me and smiles and goes, oh, I'm from Honduras. So I think that was a real phenomenon, because it seemed to me that people wearing the Portugal jersey were there for Ronaldo and not the team. But the Congo went behind in that game. Mm-hmm. And this is the very first game for Portugal, the vaunted midfield, Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, all these great players. Everybody's saying the best midfield in the tournament, potentially, which I don't think is an untrue statement. And they were in a low block. They got breached off a cross. And then they said to themselves right away, we are not going to sit back. We're going after the goal. And they started taking the game the rest of the half to Portugal. And they were big, strong, and athletic. They had Johan Vise, who people know from playing over in Europe, doing some amazing things. And they equalized. And then in the second half, they dropped back to their original tactics they were going to employ and got a draw. But I really, that was a really cool performance. And it was really brave of them to go after a tying goal right away, as opposed to, a lot of teams that would sit back the entire game and hope to nick it in the final 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think when you look at what Sebastian Desaab did in this tournament, and they didn't flinch. They didn't care who was on the other side, the other half. It's just like, look, we're here. We're going to do our thing. We're going to chase after it. You've got Wan-Bissaka was a part of the back line, I believe.
Yeah.
And so you have experienced players in the Big Five leagues, like you mentioned, Wan-Bissaka and Wan-Bissaka. They know what it's like to be on a big stage. There was no intimidation. Axel Tuanzebe, I think, was another one that was a part of that. So they weren't intimidated by a big stage. And Desaab, I think he hit every note just about right when it came to coaching. And 9 of the 10 teams that qualified from the African continent made it into the knockouts, which was another cool thing for me, is that you had that contingent making the inroads that they did. Yep,
no question about it. And, that's another thing that people, the Congo, well, immediately they get dismissed. And then you look at the roster, to your point, and they're all guys with a lot of guys with tremendous experience. So they were a really fun story. But, we had a real shootout with the Netherlands and Sweden. The Dutch at that point did not have a designated striker. Well, in that game, Broby stepped up, scored a pair of goals in the first 17 minutes. And you're kind of sitting there going, okay, we're believers now, Netherlands. You found your striker. How far can you take this thing? And then, of course, they struggled and employed some very strange Ronald Koeman tactics that were very un-Dutch-like against Morocco. I was sitting at home going, is this by design, or is this because Morocco is absolutely just pinning them back? And it took me about 10 minutes to come to what I thought was the correct conclusion. Mm-hmm. So that was bizarre. To see Germany roll in, before the tournament got going, Curacao gets their first ever goal. Ronaldo scores in a, we all knew Ronaldo would score against Uzbekistan, but for the most part, I think Portugal was a team that might have been. The Ronaldo fans are going to get very mad at me, but I think they were a team that was subservient to a singular player. Mm-hmm. I mean, Gonzalo Ramos, mm-hmm. you're going, geez, mm-hmm. Where could we have gone if that guy was there? Mm-hmm. You don't know. How dare I say that about Ronaldo, right?
Harumph, exactly. No, it's we are a part of the congregation of the Church of Glen Davis. We agree with you on that one, because you could tell the difference in that team when they were having the issues trying to be subservient to Cristiano Ronaldo, and then when they weren't. It was just entirely two different things. It's like, yeah, we think we need to feed him, and you look completely and totally out of sync. It's like you put regular gas into an unleaded gas tank. It was not something that functioned the way that it should have been, and you heard all the knocks and pings all the way down the road before the transmission dropped.
Well, I think what people forget sometimes is coaches have to get the star player on their side, number one.
Yeah.
And number one, that star player who literally could run for president of Portugal and win.
Yep.
He would win.
Mm-hmm.
And he has more social media support and followers in the world than anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that can even seep into the mind of the player. If I want to go to the World Cup, I got to get on CR7's best side.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of smiling a little bit when everybody said, oh, what a brave decision. Roberto Martinez is subbing out Cristiano Ronaldo. And I'm going, it's not that brave. He's already scored a penalty. If there was ever a time to do it, that's the time to do it. But then you come to find out, and I don't know what the conclusion of this is, that Roberto Martinez is a candidate to be and is negotiating with Al Nasser in Saudi Arabia, which would make him Ronaldo's coach in Saudi Arabia, make him an even wealthier man. So in the case of Roberto Martinez, his wagon is hitched to CR7. I don't think any question.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One more question for you, my friend, this time around before we invite you back to just talking, I guess, look, you know where the key is under the mat. You know where the garage door opener is anyway. You can come.
You guys do too.
The Field of 48. What did you think initially? And were your thoughts either confirmed or flipped from the Field of 48 this time around?
think that's a great question for a lot of people. And I think I was on this show and I said, what are we doing? We're attacking the sacredness of the World Cup. We're expanding. The Champions League may one day be more important. And I will say that I've moved a little bit in the other direction, but that's with keeping the 64-team World Cup out of this conversation. I like the stories. I like the teams that were storylines of getting into this tournament. For the most part, they were all competitive, and in some cases more competitive than many people thought. I thought it added a lot. 72 games got whipped off pretty quickly. At the end of the day, the cream of the crop kind of rose. But I think, you're going to have to be careful with this in the future. And I think we've only underlined and highlighted the fact that huge TV ratings, huge money, more content, more obviously commercial entertainment. Was not a big fan of the halftime show. Madonna should have been, retired about 20 years ago. I got to tell you, this guy Chris Martin of Coldplay, he deserves a little healthy criticism for his choices. The only one I really liked was Shakira, but everybody else, I don't know. But maybe I'm just too old. I was hoping Led Zeppelin was going to come out of the sky and rip into A Whole Lot of Love.
Oh man, that would have been fantastic.
That's not happening. No guitars allowed on a halftime show.
I was right there with you on Shakira, and I looked at Jason and Maddie, and I was like, and one of the other groups would pop up, and it's like, is that K-pop? And they go, yes. Just nod, smile, and move forward. I'm like, yep.
Oh, that was K-pop. Okay. Well, then not as. I know K-pop is popular. I like Shakira because I just think she has a happy, fun, great personality. She's obviously incredibly talented, and she meshes great with the world of football. That was Chris Martin's saving grace, Shakira. She better get paid triple.
You ain't kidding, brother. All right, if you would please, sir, hit the promo for me and let everybody know how they can catch up with you 24/7, 365.
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram at Glenn Davis Sock. You can stream the show in Houston. There's no punches pulled on this show, just like Soccer Down Here. It's ESPN975.com for the stream. It's every Tuesday at 6 Central Time and Wednesday at 6 Central Time. And so we've had a lot of fun with this World Cup. I know you have. Congratulations on all the efforts you guys have put in. And then we'll see you in 4 years, hopefully.
Yeah, and we'll see you sooner than that. As always, my friend, love you very much, and we'll catch up with you soon. Great to catch up with you on a Monday.
John, you're the man. Thank you so much.
There he goes, Glenn Davis.